Welcome back to Obviously Fight Talk. If you're watching on your telly, on the YouTube, you'll see him. If you're listening on your wireless radio, you'll about to hear him. We're not saying he's the best. We're just saying there's nobody better. Mr. Brendan Dorman.
Feels good to be on top. Thank you for having me.
So exhausting.
I look forward to the intro every single week.
Yeah.
I'm going to run out of shit at some point, you know.
Yeah.
We can recycle.
Start making up words.
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Like H.
Yeah.
So UFC Fight Night, let's get right. Reel it in there, gentlemen.
Yeah.
UFC Fight Night goes down this weekend, and it's in Pittsburgh. Yep, I sound like it's like Ron Burgundy there. Pittsburgh? Must be a question mark. Yeah, going down in Pittsburgh. Your main card kicks off in the heavyweight division between Justin Ledet and Anyanwu.
Excellent. I don't know if you're right, but
that's
we'll go with that. That's his name now.
That's his name tonight. So clash of the heavyweights. Heavyweight division is really limited the last few years. He's coming off. Anyway, is coming off the Dana White's Contender series.
Yeah, watch that fight.
So he had the big win by knockout on the Contender, and he's getting a shot in the UFC against Justin Ledet. And I'm just going to pull up a technology there, Justin Ledet, because I'm a little behind myself. Who, yes, he did beat Mark Godbeer in his last fight, and he has a victory over Chase Sherman as well.
Yeah, Ledet, I actually think he's very, very good. I think he has a boxing background, as far as I'm aware. I think he fought pro boxing, but he has a very good ground game. Like, did you see the submission against Mark Godbeer? That was beautiful.
Yes.
But he also has a really good boxing game, of course. And interestingly, I think you said the name for me, Anyanwu. That guy. I'm going to call him AZ.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to try.
We're going to call him AZ.
His first name is Azuna, so I'm going to call him AZ.
Arizona.
He has a very traditional kind of boxing stance where he's like, really traditional, hands up here. And he's pretty good. He plays well in range. Like he usually pushes his guy up against the cage, slips back and lands counters like overhand rights. But Ledet is very, very good. I've seen him fight at the Mark Godbeer fight. I was watching his highlights today, and his striking's really, really good, and his submission game is really, really good.
One thing that would stand out
as well.
One thing that would stand out for me here is the difference in, like, fair enough, that only has 2 fights in the UFC, but for AZ, the step up here is going to be like it's Grand Canyon gap to the caliber of fighters he's been fighting. So this is a big step up.
A couple of those.
He had a big finish, in fairness to him, in Dana White's Contender. But this is a
beautiful finish as well.
This is a big step up in
Yeah,
class.
definitely a big step up. I like Ledet here. I really do. I like Ledet here.
All I wanted to chirp in with on that one, because I don't really have much for thoughts as far as like a winner, but I talk about this a lot. Well, I used to anyway in breakdowns, like with Dominic Cruz and stuff, is that holding your hands up like this is a lot of work when you have to grapple. If you're very like plotting, that's why sometimes I'll kind of say like I don't like Muay Thai footwork, but that's all I'll ever really knock about Muay Thai. Like I love Muay Thai. Yeah. I think their footwork should be a little slicker. That's all. And that's a super general statement. Obviously there's exceptions to that rule times 10. But a guy at heavyweight, if we ever watch a heavyweight fight and we kind of get a little disinterested, we'll say, it's because of fatigue every time. Yeah. So let's hope someone that's a high hands boxer guy knows that when he's got kickboxing range or more, to that's when you relax and you can drop to say shoulder length. You see some of the best strikers kind of toying with that, even more so now than you used to. Yeah. Used to kind of be like Anderson Silva's realm, and then there were just guys that were bad strikers, so that they didn't have their hands up. But I don't suggest this all the time, because hooks still will get through that, in an MMA context. That's why you see like gloves, turning over of hands a lot, because that we've talked about like the padding that's not there. Yeah. But anyway, hopefully it's not like that. Hopefully it's guns a-blazing.
Yeah, even though Ledet has a boxing background, he's, like you said, he keeps his hands low. Not all the time, but he keeps his hands low a lot of the time when he's out of range. Whereas the other guy, AZ, doesn't really that much.
The thing about, if you're a betting man here, you're going to look at the gap being too big in class. Or, if you like an underdog, this could be it, especially in the heavyweight division. 4-ounce gloves, these guys are going to be coming in either touching the 265 limit thereabouts.
I'm pretty sure Ledet hasn't fought in quite a while as well.
So you never know. That the home run shot could land. But for me, betting man, I'll be picking Ledet just like Rob on that one. Your next fight of the evening is now going to get officially murdered by Noel. It's Kamaru Usman taking on Sergio Moraes.
Moraes.
Yeah. Moraes. The other guy's Omaru, who's he's like Nigerian American.
Yeah.
He's
the Nigerian nightmare, nonetheless. Brendan Dorman.
Christian Okoye, you mean?
Yes, this guy is. He's the Nigerian nightmare of Kamaru Usman.
He's using that nickname?
Yeah, sir.
Oh, there was a running back in American football.
No wonder that went right over our heads.
Yeah, I was like, shit, am I completely out of the loop here?
Who was that fighter? Was he good?
Yeah.
Was he a boxer?
Yeah, I was getting embarrassed.
Christian Okoye was an American football player, was a monster, and he had that same nickname. Anywho, moving on. The guy in question now was he was with the Black Zillions when I was down in Florida, but he wasn't pro yet.
Okay.
But he was kind of like a wrestling coach, if you will. Like, he wasn't the head grappling coach or anything, but he'd help guys out a lot with wrestling. I think he was like a D2 champion, but he used to work with Tyrone Spong and Rashad and the likes on their, especially when Spong was trying to make the conversion to MMA. He's a really good grappler, and he's got power in his hands. Yeah. I think he's still working with Henry, so he's a dangerous dude.
He competed in the Black Zillions against Top Team Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, I think he did,
That's how he landed the contract, no?
Yeah, I think it might have been.
Yeah.
He's a really athletic guy. You got to give it to him. Like, he covers a lot of distance. Yeah, absolute freak athlete. Moraes is athletic in himself, but I think if you're looking at the striking here, Usman, although I think his grappling is better, is probably a much better striker than Moraes, who's very wild, and he just uses striking to close the distance, really.
Yeah, Moraes is like, from what I can recall for fights, I got about 3 in my head. He's inconsistent, and he has flashes where I'm like, that guy's got something, to get to the top tier. And I've seen him kind of, I don't want to say boring. That's like the wrong word to use, but just not blowing me away.
Yeah, he has excellent grappling though. Yeah, excellent with jiu-jitsu.
Oh, well, that's the thing. He's more of like the submission type, whereas, of course, high-level wrestlers pick up submissions pretty quickly, given the context of MMA, especially, no gi, etc. But Maru's like a control guy. He's kind of like a Khabib light. I don't want to give him that much.
Ground strikes.
Khabib's probably the best ground striker ever. I don't even like that guy. What am I talking about? Anyway, but he's a control dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's going to get top position. He's not going to lose it. Really hard to sweep. If you're on the bottom, that'd be kind of actually more interesting to me on the ground to see how that played out.
One thing I did notice about him, and to be honest, it didn't affect him in the fights I've seen. I've seen him go to decision, but in his takedowns, he's so athletic and so strong that he picks guys up and throws them down. And you'd think that maybe over 3 to 5 rounds, maybe that'll play against him. It hasn't so far, but just to point out, maybe
both fighters currently on a great streak as well. Usman's on 11-fight win streak, and Moraes is on a 6-fight win streak.
I'm taking Usman to win.
I'm gonna go with Usman.
I usually don't make picks, but I like him to win. I kind of know the guy, so I can root when I can root.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Usman just because he knows a guy that I know. So. We're best friends, and that worked at the weekend. It worked at the weekend with Latifi. Come on, it worked. Don't question the science. But yeah, science. Our science is terrible here. Your next bout of the evening sees Gregor Gillespie taking on Jason Gonzalez.
Before we move on, can your official nickname be Brendan Schlitter Dorman? Please.
Can we come up with something else? It sounds terrible.
It's great.
It's great. I'm gonna call my parents. Like, hey, I got a new nickname. Check this out.
It's like a baseball. It's a really hard ball. If you hit somebody with it, it's gonna knock them out.
Do you want to be named after a really hard ball?
No, that's very true.
I can't believe you made.
Yeah, no one cares. No one cares about the balls.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
What?
Okay.
That's a different. That's a different podcast.
Yeah, we'll do that next time.
Yeah, so Gregor Gillespie taking on Jason Gonzalez is your next bout of the evening in the lightweight division. And Rob, I'm going to pass the mic to you because you were excited with this one.
Gregor Gillespie, man, I think he trains with Frankie Edgar. If he doesn't, then he watches a lot of Frankie Edgar. I know he's a New York guy, so I just assume he does. But
Yeah, there's a couple guys
MMA,
from New York on this card.
Yeah, man, he is excellent. He is really, really good. He's my one to watch for the year. Definitely my one to watch for this card.
Did you say that at the start of the year?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. Possibly. But really, really good striking, and it's very. Why I say Frank Yeager, it's very similar. You know, to Frank Yeager's striking style, his boxing style, where he's really tight. Lovely jab, lovely technical boxing, and he's just really good everywhere in the striking.
Light on the feet, constant angles,
exactly.
movement. Does he mix it up as much with takedowns?
Yes, mix it up, and similar takedowns. He doesn't really do that. I think it's. You can correct me. I'm not up with my wrestling, but I think it's like a knee tap that Frankie does a lot. Is that right?
Yeah, well, Frankie has a couple of takedowns that he does. One's like, I learned it too from the same person that Phil Nurse teaches, which is like the tie sweep, where you frame across the body and kick out the legs. But the one you're talking about, a knee tap would be usually from like an over-under, right? Like a pummeling position, and you drop levels. Like GSP did it against Matt Hughes twice in their third fight, where you drop levels and it's just grabbing them behind the knee and using your momentum forward.
But you
knee picks, ankle picks, that's all they really mean. Or they'll call it a knee tap, which is more like the judo reference, but it's the same principle.
Okay. Well, he has this very, very similar style in that way. Like, he mixes up his wrestling so well. And if you watch his last fight with Andrew Holbrook, oh my God, that knockout. I don't know if you remember it. The left hook. He dropped. Well, he didn't completely knock him out, but he dropped him with a left hook. And
really, really early.
Yeah, and he came in. He feinted the right hook, then feinted the left hook, and he almost kind of just looked for range. And then Holbrook came in with a right straight, and then the left hook came around over the top and just absolutely cleaned him
those
onto
are
the
always
floor.
the ones that are just when one person's coming in and the other one connects at the same time. That's
beautiful.
Usually a recipe for disaster. I would call like Frank Yeager and his style similar in that I call them like paper cutter strikers. Like, they're very good against people that tend to wing a lot because they can move lateral, and they'll dart forward. And it's like a pair of scissors through paper, in other words. Like, it's like a kind of a self-defense principle to like keep your hands here if someone's throwing round strikes, and then you want to attack straight line. Yeah. So you're still like, your chin's kind of tucked, and you can kind of move forward and chain your takedowns off of that, you know? So that's a good comparison. I don't know if they train together, to be honest. But I see the similarities.
Yeah, he's a NCAA Division I champ as well. So, you know, there's that.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Yeah. One thing as well.
I know that's not a thing over there, but over here, that's a big deal.
That's a big one. One thing as well, one thing you brought up, Jason Gonzalez, that's the kind of striker he is. Very loopy, throws a lot of hooks, throws a lot of high kicks. So the only thing I will say, he's huge. He's like 6'2" or something, and absolutely enormous versus 5'9" for lightweight. So he's a big guy.
Yeah.
So there's that. But if you watch his fight with Drew Dober, who has similar striking-ish, obviously more of a kickboxer.
I watched that earlier.
Yeah, and man, he flattened him right down the middle.
So he's a wild swinger. The technical guy is going to him off of fundamentals and straight shots.
That's my thought.
90% of the time, that's the case. Yeah. It's whoever is in tighter. Yeah. Or like, even if they're both like Rampage, I think I brought this up to you guys before, but Rampage Vanderlei in the UFC when it wasn't, elephant steroids in the ass. Vanderlei went to throw a hook at Rampage and his right hand was like here. Yeah. Like, he didn't cover his ear at all. Yeah. And Rampage threw a beautiful weave and still covered up and came through at the same time. And Vanderlei was asleep for about 25 minutes after that. Yeah. But it was the crispness, like actual boxing technique that got it done. It doesn't always have to be jabs and crosses. Yeah. It's about being accurate, and you can be tight with hooks. Like, it's small area still.
Anyway, my biggest Gillespie.
Gillespie. Well, look, I'm not going to disagree with two experts, so I'm going to go with Gillespie as well. I'm a little in the dark. Gillespie's knockout stands me now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, he's a guy, if you remember the knockout, he's a guy you remember.
No, I do. Yeah. So I'll go with Gillespie there just through, I don't know, watches are saying with Frankie Yeager, if he's that style of fighter, he's my type of fighter. So I have to put an asterisk beside his name there and keep an eye out for that fight.
Is Frankie getting a title shot, by the way?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, Max Holloway is said he wants it, doesn't he?
Floating.
Yeah.
I'd like it.
That's such a ridiculously awesome fight anyway.
So good.
Yeah, it'd be a great fight. Oh. Absolutely stunning.
That's you take that day off from work.
Yeah.
Kind of fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sticking with this card,
I know.
A man badly in need of a victory who has really fallen and slipped and slid. It was Hector Lombard, and he has taken on Anthony Smith. What's gone wrong for Hector Lombard? Everybody was calling for Hector to come to the UFC for a long time, thinking he'd just literally come in and they basically hand him the belt. It hasn't gone that way, and he's gone through a hard time with defeats. He's currently on a 3-fight slide. So what happened with Hector Lombard?
When you said what happened with Hector Lombard, literally at the exact same time, if you're watching YouTube, you'll see it. Me and Brendan just went. Just look.
You know what I was looking for was like something to shake. Like,
hey.
Again, I must use the word allegedly. But yeah, is it just all down to USADA? I know it's proven.
My pancakes.
Is it all down to USADA, or is it something else?
It could be. It could. He came when he first came in. It was still the wild, wild west when he fought Boch. At 185, he seemed a little undersized. Then he tried the 170 cut. The loss to Henderson was a little weird.
Yeah.
The loss to Magny, it's like he blew his wad. And then what was the other one? Magny, Lombard.
Hendricks.
Magny, Henderson. What was the other one?
Johnny Hendricks.
Oh, my favorite guy on earth. I don't know. I can't watch Johnny Hendricks fight.
But for me, looking at this fight, this is a weird fight because he's on a really bad streak, Hector Lombard.
Yeah,
and he's fighting a guy who, in fairness, he's on a 2-fight win streak.
He's on a resurgence,
but he came through the Ultimate Fighter, and he had one fight then on the Johnson card, the Fox 24 card against Andrew Sanchez, where he won his strikes. But if you look at these and you were said Hector Lombard's fighting, who's he fighting? Anthony Smith. You go, oh yeah, Anthony Smith. Yeah. So it's a weird fight. Is this the UFC going to Hector? Go on, have a win, or are they building Smith? Are they going, here's a chance to get a win over somebody who was thought of so highly?
The latter. If I had to guess, here's why. Do you have the tail of the tape in front of you?
I can do. Yes, I do.
Look at the height difference.
6'2", 75-inch reach.
6'2". I've seen him listed as high as like 6'4".
6'2".
He's a
big guy, yeah.
He's a big dude. Either way, Lombard's 5'7". Yeah. I mean, doesn't really matter. 6'2", 6'4". We're talking about like that's so much of a disparity. If he just even remotely knows how to use his length and has remotely decent coaches, he should be able to stay on the outside. Now, Lombard has his freak moments for sure, but again, his gas tank is, like a moped.
Well, I find, I know this is a reference you always say as well, Randall. I find with Lombard, like a video game, he almost holds down the special button to throw the big shot that saps your energy. Yeah. And that's what Hector Lombard does in all his fights, is that he throws to kill, and if one of them shots landed, yes, you're out, you're gone, you're done. But when they don't land and the bell rings and it's time for round 2, he's barely able to lift to get himself up off the stool. I think as well,
Anthony Smith is a very tough guy. If you remember his last fight, he was losing that fight and he came back in the third, wasn't it? Didn't he finish the third?
Yeah.
Came back and won by knockout. So he's a really tough guy. So I think that could be a problem for Lombard. And I think Lombard is in that unfortunate situation where he's too big for one weight class and he's too small for the other. He falls right in that category. And he's on a bad streak. I just can't pick Hector Lombard based on his last couple of performances. I just can't. Smith is on a bit of a resurgence, so I got to go with Smith. I think he's a good striker. I think, as you said, Brendan, he'd be able to keep him on the end of his strikes and at least win a decision. But sometimes he can get into that firefight, and if he does get into the firefight, stand in the pocket with Lombard, that could be a huge, horrible idea. So, But I'm going to go with Smith, but it's a good fight. It's a very interesting fight.
I know we're sort of focusing on striking there, but Hector Lombard's judo is absolutely phenomenal. The throws and
you almost say that about like Roy Nelson's jiu-jitsu. It's like, Roy Nelson's jiu-jitsu is amazing, but he never uses it. So
well, look, it could be there.
We've seen it a little bit from Lombard. He's like a 4th degree black belt in judo, and I believe he medaled maybe in the Olympics. I don't know. I'm not sure on that part.
Yeah, he did.
But we saw it against like Jake Shields. We saw it against and who's like, I mean, that guy's really high level.
Yeah.
Who else did he throw? He fucking ragdolled somebody. God, I forget who it was.
His last few wins have been Nate Marcotte, Palhares. Might have been Paul Harris he threw around, was it?
That Paul Harris win, he just knocked him the fuck out. Might have been Mark Bart. I think he might have ragdolled him. He's just got that ability. That's the thing is, you don't get to be an Olympic medalist or a fourth-degree judo black belt without technique.
Yeah.
As much as we can shit on the guy and hear all those terrible, like, he's not allegedly the best teammate from every source I've ever heard, but he has like really, really good, takedown technique. On top of that, freakish strength. But it's just like that guy that doesn't breathe in there. It's kind of, and I'll make this a 4-second blip, but it's the Cejudo thing, as to your reference, Noel, about not loading up on everything. It's like take a little off, and you'll find your spot.
Yeah.
Because you telegraph more the more you try to the strikes. You can't, you got to relax in there.
Yeah.
You'll still find your power.
He also kind of his footwork is very stagnant. He also kind of just stands in there and kind of plods forward. Doesn't really cut huge angles. So yeah, and with that, with not reach, but with very, very little reach compared to his opponents, that's going to be a problem. It always is going to be a problem.
So, of course. He's just that guy that's almost like someone like Woodley's wide, but he's a little more proportional or proportionate, or I don't know which one works better there. But he makes weight. He has never pissed hot. Lombard has that. I mean, he's pissed hot, so we're not going out on a limb to make insinuations there. But he's like wide. He's super wide, but he's like 5'7". So what do you do with a guy like that? He's just, it's tough. You can't lose muscle mass. You can't lose the width of your shoulders. Yeah. You know what I mean? So who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if he came out and starts the guy either, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think is that I think this could be his last hurrah as well. Possibly, like, he is 39 years of age. The age is Father Time will never be beaten and all that. So
I'm going Smith.
Yeah, you're going Smith. Decision, or are you going to get him to finish?
I'm going to say.
I don't see it going the distance.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's going to finish him. He's going to finish him by like a TKO.
Look, if you want to have fun in the bookies, stick a fiver on Lombard to win knockout in the first round. Yeah. I think that's how he wins the fight. If he wins, he gets it done in the first round. If he doesn't, if Anthony Smith does win it, he's going to be beating up an exhausted Hector Lombard on the mat. But I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna go with Hector Lombard. I'm gonna say Hector Lombard, good pharmacist. He'll get the knockout.
You going with Hector with a H?
Rector.
H.
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 Oh boy, we're never gonna settle this. Moving on.
Anyway.
All in love, brother. All in love.
Co-main event is a fun one, I think. I really like the co-main event. Thiago Alves taking on Mike. Main event is, I think this is a sleeper. This card obviously has gone under the radar because there's a different fight happening this weekend. But Luke Rockhold takes on Dave Branch in the main event of this one. What's your thoughts on it? We have not seen Luke Rockhold since he got finished and lost his title to Michael Bisping. So he's been away a while. What are we expecting to see on Saturday night, Brendan?
Super interesting fight. Tough. I have a little bit of vested rooting interest with a Renzo Gracie black belt in the fight, and obviously in Branch. And here's where it gets tricky: is that Rockhold now trains striking under Henry Hooft. So I got I'm closer to Renzo. So
you have two dogs in a two-dog race.
Yes, that. But Rockhold went from me thinking he was kind of the future of 185 to suddenly going like, does this guy want to fucking fight? Like, fight. Yeah. Why aren't you fighting? I don't even know of him being injured or sick, or he looked like disinterested. I think he was like banging, hosts of talk shows or some shit. He was just doing weird shit. But he's so fucking talented. When he beat Weidman, it was like, that's a savage right there. The way that he beat Tim Boach was ridiculous. So Rockhold is as talented as they come. He got caught by Bisping, but let's not make it that he just got caught. He lost. Yeah. He lost via strategy, via wonderful punching by Bisping, beautiful MMA boxing. I will never discredit that. That people call that a fluke. That's ridiculous. That said, you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So with that, Branch is one of those guys, he kind of gassed out a little bit in the third in his last fight, and the crowd hated it. Yeah. I don't know why the hell they have that on the UFC YouTube channel right now as a fight to like showcase the guy. Yeah. Anyway, but he's a Renzo guy, and I'd assume because he's got good hands that are getting better and good kicks, he might have even worked with Phil Nurse and say Mark Henry in the interim. I don't know. He used to do a lot of like privates with Renzo. They were very close. So he has like underrated jiu-jitsu that you don't maybe see enough. In that last fight, like he took that guy down in the third round, and he had some guard passing opportunities that he kind of just let him pass. Yeah. Sometimes grapplers, like we brought up Roy Nelson earlier, guys that have like these black belts in jiu-jitsu, but they start falling in love with the knockout so much they get away from what got them to the dance, and it's really discouraging. And if I'm Renzo, I'm discouraged even. You know, it's not like he's going to be in the corner physically, I don't think, but it's a very, very interesting fight because they strike differently. What Branch has, and I've seen him train enough to know this, is he's got underrated jiu-jitsu that we really haven't seen, but he's got very good reflexes if you watch him fight. Like when he throws a right hand, he'll like pull out. Yeah. You know, like whereas Rockhold's kind of the opposite. He gets too relaxed, and that might have been partially what happened with Bisping is he gets so, you know, like he's I don't know what to compare it to, but it's like he's meditating in the ring. Whereas Branch fights almost as if he's nervous. Of course, he's not. That guy's been through hell and back. But, you know, he's a little more aware, if you will. Yeah. A little more cognizant of what's going on. So you have, on paper, similar styles, but in reality, not similar at all, you know. So it could be like a counter-puncher's fight, you know.
I think a lot of people would probably lean towards Rockhold for obvious reasons.
Of course.
But sometimes like this can happen where you have a guy who, in David Branch, who was a really good fighter, 2-weight world champion in WSOF. I don't think his last fight was really typical of him as a fighter. If that's the only fight you've seen him fight in, I don't think that's typical.
No, not at all.
But I do think that the reasons why you lean towards Luke Rockhold, not just because he's a former champ in the UFC, but he's flashier. He does pretty flashier things. But we've seen so many times where a guy like Luke Rockhold, a flashy guy who a lot of people look at as the future at one time, goes in against a veteran who just does things correctly and can just figure out that style. I suppose you can even say Bisping was similar to that, who went in and just with a really good game plan and got it done. So I could see that happening, but obviously just with Luke Rockhold's just talent, you'd have to feel that Luke Rockhold wins this fight. But, you know, it's a tough one. It's a very tough one to say. It's a weird fight for me because Rockhold hasn't fought in a long time, and you just assume he'd come back and fight, you know, somebody again in the vein of a Luke Rockhold. But so it's a weird fight for me. But I think it's a really, really tough fight for Luke Rockhold because he doesn't gain a huge amount from this one if he wins, just in the fans' eyes.
And those are dangerous fights for anyone, right? Because he's like aiming down or what's punching down they call it. Like comedians say punching down. Like I think Branch is 9? I think he's ranked 9.
It's probably something like that, yeah.
And they're both really big for 185 as far as I think they're both about 6'3". They're rangy,
6'2",
lean guys. You know, it's interesting, man. Yeah. But to your point, anyway, Rockhold's got everything to lose, and Branch has everything to gain. Yeah. So you wonder where the motivation is going to be for a guy that could have fought the last. I don't know when the Bisping fight was. It seems like 2 years ago. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was that long, but where have you been, man? You know.
Yeah, it was last summer. It was June of last year. Okay. For me, with Rockhold, I think a couple of things happened in the Bisping fight. Number one, he beat Bisping pretty convincingly the first time round. So when he got the fight on short notice, he thought, sure, look, I'll just turn up and do the exact same thing. And a big thing was mentioned in the lead up to that fight. I can't remember if it was Dan Hardy doing the breakdown, but he was talking about keeping your foot on the outside of your opponent, the way Luke Rockhold was doing it in the first fight. But in the second fight, he was allowing Bisping to take that advantage to land the extra shot. I just think in some ways he underestimated Michael Bisping because he had done it and beat him before. But I think credit, as you said, has to go to Bisping. He came in with a phenomenal game plan and great approach. And he firmly believed I was winning this fight. And I just think Rockhold was, I just have to turn up to win this fight. Hopefully he's learned that, because I think the general consensus to this one is similar. Rockhold just has to turn up to beat Dave Branch here, and if he comes in with that attitude, the result could end up the very same thing. I think he'll have learned from it, and I think, yes, he's been away a long time, but He was probably bagging models, as you said, but he was probably doing a lot of training in the interim
I mean,
too.
good
So
on him.
yeah, but
fighting.
I'm expecting to see an improved Luke Rockhold here, and if that's the case, an improved Luke Rockhold with a point to prove is a very, very dangerous Luke Rockhold. So I'm going to pick Luke Rockhold here by finish.
Same.
Sorry, Bren, I know your man is there, but I'm going to go Luke Rockhold to get the finish here. In this one.
I don't root like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't. There's very few, unless I know someone actually personally
Yeah.
well. I'm not that invested. I wanted to nerd out for a minute. You talked about Dan Hardy, who I have tremendous respect for, and disclaimer, but I really do. I actually like that guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. That left foot, right foot thing, that open stance is a little overstated. It's one of those like trendy things to know. Like, foot outside, dominant position. I mean, it's not as though I don't cover it in breakdowns. It is a real thing, but there's ways to manipulate that. And it would take me a half hour to completely explain it, but I'll bring him up again. Watch Roy Jones fight southpaws. He doesn't play that game as much. So you can actually do a lot of damage. I mean, with leg kicks especially, you can start tricking people as to where you're going to put your front foot. And that's from southpaw or orthodox, doesn't matter. If you start using your lead leg to kick theirs, because you don't need to tell, it's not a round kick from the rear, it's not your front leg kicking a front leg. So you don't have to tell with much. So a lot of times, your right straight is one of your best weapons as an orthodox against a southpaw. That's well known. That's not a trick. So, as is an arching left, right? Like a 3-2. You also can throw off of both of those strikes. You can chain that front leg left lead into their right lead leg. Is that too much? Am I over-explaining it?
No.
I'm trying to make it just like layman make sense. But the point is that like the whole foot outside, inside, whatever thing, like there's so much more to that. And I feel like at this level of those two guys, like you could play, one of those could fall into a trap of trying to, play the position game, and then the other one drastically breaks the other way, leaving the other guy open. You don't want to fall in a trap of like, this is how you stand when you fight a lefty. Like the rules aren't that, in MMA especially, they're not that concrete. And Dan Hardy's excellent and a brilliant analyst, so it's nothing against him. I just want to give people, or let people know there are alternatives to just fending to get outside or whatever. Anyway, I had to nerd out a second.
We all tie our shoelaces differently.
Yeah. Beautiful, Rob. So that's UFC fight. That's UFC Fight Night 116 going down on Saturday night. Do you know what? There is another card going on that night. There's a great boxing match. More than likely we'll cover that beforehand as well. But check out the MMA.
Yeah.
MMA podcast. Watch MMA. Tune in for the main event. If the gods work in that way, sometimes the gods do. The fighting will be over. You'll turn off, and the boxers will be only walking to the ring. And let's be honest, it's the main event you watch the boxing for. Any fight could be an absolute humdinger on this card. So tune in to UFC Fight Night 116.
Humdinger? What, you're from the 1940s?
Humdinger. But Brendan Dorman, as always, has been an absolute pleasure. We got that brain of yours. It's a beautiful brain.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
Yeah. I'm kind of a big deal, don't you know?